What's up guys, Brackets here, back with some more Rust modding. Today I'm going to show you guys in the forums, there's a section called plugin request, and what I like to do from time to time is come on here and see which, see a bunch of server owners have good ideas for plugins. What I like to do is come here sometimes and look for a good one that I know that I could build. And so yesterday I went to this one, ChatCooldown, which I get the idea. He wants he's saying that a bunch of people come to the servers and they like to spam and everything, and some people use you know, some type of macros and they'll spam your chat really bad. So he was wanting a plugin that that puts a delay in between the time that people can chat, so like the cooldown. So like let's say you only can enter text into the chat every maybe 5 seconds or 10 seconds. That way it doesn't the chat's not spammed up so much. So I was like, hey, that's fairly easy to do, I'll give it a shot. And you know, a few hours later I released it. So I'm going to teach you guys how to make the chat cooldown plugin. So let's go ahead and jump in. And actually I need to complete all that. So in this tutorial we're going to cover some new concepts. We got 2 new hooks that we're going to be looking at. On server init, which is a hook that's called as soon as the server is reset, right? Well, as soon as it starts up after a restart, right? So and then we have on chat, and it's pretty much called as soon as someone types any text into the text box in Rust. So before we had on command, we did that yesterday. This is on chat. It picks up anything regardless, or if they don't have the slash at the beginning, anything that doesn't start with a slash, and it returns a player object and a chat message. So in the on server init doesn't take any arguments. And I think I said returns. I mean it takes the on chat function. It actually does return player and chat message. Okay, so we're also going to learn about Datastore. It's a way to save data, and you can retrieve it later. There's datastore.get and datastore.add, and there's also data.add table value, and this is a good way to get data from a config file. So right here you have the plugin name, or actually this is going to be your key. I usually name it the plugin name, ChatCooldown, and this is going to be actually that is the chat. I mean the name of the plugin. This is the key, cooldown, and this is the value that you're going to put in. So you're going to do data.get config value, the name of the config file, ChatCooldown, this the section it's under, and this is the name that it's under. So for example, or for this one actually, we can go to ChatCooldown, and like I said, it's going to look under the settings section. Here's the key, cooldown, and it's going to return, or it's going to get the value of the config file right here, so 10, right? So what this is going to do is it's going to save it to well, this is just how you retrieve it: the table name, the key, and the config value, right? So that's going to be pretty much, you could pretty much say that's 10 right there, because it's going to come through as 10. And then you can retrieve that data later too. And we're also going to go over system.environment.tick_count, and we're going to need that for the cooldown. This returns the current time in milliseconds, so we're going to divide it by 1,000 just so it returns it in seconds. So you divide milliseconds by 1,000 to get the amount of seconds. Okay, so those are going to be the new concepts. We can go and get started with the on server init function. So we'll go ahead and do this, and remember I said earlier that this is called as soon as the server is started back up. We're going to make our own function called request config, right? And we'll make our own function, request config. It doesn't take any arguments, and all we're going to do here is we're going to do data dot, actually I can just copy this one up here, data.add table, and I'll explain this in a second of what we're doing here exactly. So pretty much what this is going to do is as soon as the server starts up, we're going to go to the config file right here, data.get config value, get that 10 from the config file, and then we're going to store it into a table, right? Table name, the key, and we can retrieve this data later. We'll call the table name and the key, and it'll give us the value 10, and we'll need that to know later in the program that the cooldown is 10 seconds. You only can talk in the chat every 10 seconds, right? So that's set up. So pretty much as this is, server's going to start up, we're going to get the value 10, right? We're going to store it into a table, and we'll be able to retrieve that data later. So we're going to go ahead and start on the chat command hook, and I'll show you guys how this works too. On the forums, actually, a good place to go on the forums is go to there's a section where the developer, as he releases new hooks, he'll I think it's right here, he'll explain, that's not it, he'll explain what each hook does, right? So the on chat, here it is, that's what we're using right now. He's going to show that it returns a player object and some text, and in his example he's just showing how it works. When you put in some text, it's just going to say, hey, you said text. It's just going to send you a message saying that. Here's a little example he put that pretty much kicks you for saying certain words. So if that text that you put in contains the word nugget, then it's going to kick you from the server, right? It's just going to disconnect you. So that's where that comes from. And also this text right here, it's returned as I'll show you on here. It's a chat string, right? It's returned as a chat string. So there's two functions you can use: new text and original text. We'll be using new text, and all that does is it takes whatever you put and it just ignores it and puts a new text instead. So, and also I wanted to show you this too. In the I'm showing you the data.add table value and the Datastore. I haven't used it yet, but it's up here. We're going to go over it eventually. You can look in JetBrains.peak, like I told you guys to download before. It's super helpful. You can see pretty much what functions or which objects and functions you can use, which hooks. And we have Datastore, add, that's the one that we're going to be using, and get, that's the other one we're going to be using, and data, we're doing right now, add table value, table name, object key, value. That's exactly what we're using right now. When I do data.add table value, this is exactly how that I knew how to do that, right? From this, right? So good thing to have downloaded. So we'll go ahead and go back here, and we're not going to do the on chat yet because we're gonna set up the way that the data is stored. We're gonna let the admin turn on or off the chat cooldown. So we'll do function, and we did this yesterday, so you guys, not yesterday, but the last tutorial, you guys should remember how this works on command. And it returns a player object and command and the arguments. So you guys, if you watch the other tutorials, you'll know exactly how this works. Alright. So yeah, so just a quick review. The player object. Command is what you put after the slash when you do a Rust command, and then the arguments are each argument after that. So if I did slash teleport to, I do teleport to would be the command, and the argument would be the player name. So just a quick review there. So what we're going to do now is we're going to set a variable cooldown. We're just going to go ahead and this isn't set yet. I'll do this later. So what we're going to do is so first thing we need to do is check to see if they're an admin, because we don't want normal players to be able to turn on and off the chat cooldown. So check if they're an admin, and we went over this before. The if statement, pretty much just saying if player is an admin, then execute this next statement of code, right? So we'll do now we can check for the command. If command is equal to cooldown on, then we'll execute this next statement of code. Alright, so we're just going to get a variable cooldown. We're going to retrieve that value from the table, get table value. So we saw this earlier in .peak. And we're going to the key, or the table name is chat cooldown. We named it the same thing as the plugin, and the key is cooldown in all caps. So what this is doing is it's going to store this value right here, 10, from the config file into this right there. So that'll be 10, right? And what we're doing here, we're getting a table name, the key, which is cooldown, cooldown, right? So all we're doing is saying, hey, look inside of this, and inside of it is 10. So this will be 10 for now, for the way we have it set up. We're just going to go ahead and do a server.broadcast. Let everybody on the let everyone on the server know that there's a chat cooldown now, and we'll just do chat cooldown is now on and is set to cooldown plus seconds. Alright, so pretty much what we're doing here is we're getting the cooldown time. We're announcing to the server that cooldown is now on and it's set to 10 seconds, right? And that's how you pass through. That's how you add a variable to a string. You just do 2 plus signs and your quotation marks. Make sure you don't mess up on that because that does matter. And we're just going to do a Datastore like I talked about earlier. Add Datastore. We'll do the Datastore name cooldown, and we'll name the key cooldown. And this works in a very similar way as the get table value. We're going to turn it on, right? So yeah, so if they turn it on, it's going to announce to the server that it's on, and we're going to use this information later up here in the on chat. So we'll do an if-else statement or else-if statement. We need to make a way to turn it off. Alright, that looks good. So we're going to do just Datastore, same thing, Datastore dot. Actually, just quicker to copy and paste it. We'll turn this value off, right? Instead of on. Let's also do announce to the server that it's off. Okay, just announce here. Is now off. Right, this looks pretty good. So let's see. I'm kind of coming up to my time limit. Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and cut it off here, and we'll start back on the next part, how to reload your config file, because you don't want to have to restart your server every time you change this value in your config file on your server, right? So we're going to do a command that lets you reload the config file using a chat command, right? So we'll do that next time. We'll cover the system.environment tick count, and we'll do the main functionality of the on chat. So yeah, we'll get that set up, and we'll do everything here to set the cooldown. So right now we're just doing a lot of data storage and a lot of data retrieval from the config file and everything. So, but hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I'll catch up with you in the next one.